Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! Whether our bowlers were naughty or nice, I brought enough surprises for everyone today on PRODIGY Bowlers Tour.
Celebrating junior bowling, elevating junior bowlers. It's a holiday edition of PRODIGY Bowlers Tour. This is Coach Randy, wishing you happy holidays, Merry Christmas, a belated Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Festivus, and of course, as always, a very joyous Toyota-thon. Today's episode is named The Christmas Surprise because, quite honestly, none of us quite knows what's in store. The format for each game will be a surprise, even to me. The one thing we do know for sure is this. We began the day with 10 kids. From the junior varsity, Hunter Moffitt. Roswell varsity player, Christian Manell. Prodigy's winningest player in 2018-19, Nick Dissinger. The one girl in our field today, Faith Roper. Two-handed fireballer, Anthony Smiga. Big Logan Mathis loaned us his hat to draw lane assignments for qualifying. Nolan Kemp brought his sound effects and his A-game today. Hayes Gabriel, an infrequent participant on Prodigy, came to play. Last week's winner, steady Tristan Davis, was back again. And a visitor who you might remember from last season, but who has aged into college this past summer and is now home for the holidays. Jesse Ghanayem dusted off his bowling balls, and we're delighted he came to join us today. These 10 kids shoed up and bowled a one-game qualifier of regular 10-pin bowling to winnow the field from 10 contestants down to 7. Here were their qualifying scores. As you can see, the scores were through the roof, as all but 3 of the players broke 200, and all but 1 were in the 190s or higher. The fact that we're on the house shot no doubt contributed to the high scores. But those under 200 paid the price by missing the cut, making an early exit. The 7 remaining players are here today on PRODIGY Bowlers Tour to see who can get all the way through to the end. Today's format will work like this. We bowl 4 games to decide the winner. The first game will include this field of 7. We'll eliminate 2, which will leave us with 5. Those 5 will bowl another game, and we'll eliminate 2 more. Those remaining 3 will bowl a third game to narrow the field to the final pairing. And those 2 will bowl for the championship. But here's the Christmas surprise. Santa brought some mystery envelopes. Each mystery envelope contains the name of a game. Most of these games we've played before on Prodigy. One we have not. Before each match on the show today, someone will select an envelope, and the game that is named inside that envelope will be the game we bowl in that next match. We bowl under the rules of a different game each match. The 5 games in the envelopes are 9-pin no-tap, suicide no-tap, Pinpoint, 7th frame sweat, and one we've never played on Prodigy before, Lowball. Now, if you don't know what all those games are, just stick around. We'll explain each one as we get to it. 4 of those 5 games will be used today, and the one we don't get to will be saved for another time. Now, the drawing for our first match has already been made, and the game that was selected for this opening match is, drum roll please, Lowball. Here's how we play Lowball. The object of the game is to get the lowest possible score you can. But you can't just throw it in the gutter. If you throw your first ball in the gutter, it counts as a strike. And if you throw your second ball in the gutter, it counts as a spare. The ideal scenario would be to pluck off the 10 or 7 pin on your first ball, and then throw your second ball over that same spot without knocking any other pins down and without throwing the ball in the gutter. Do that, And your score is the perfect score for a frame, 1. A perfect game in this form of lowball is 10. It ain't easy, as our kids are about to find out. And we're set to go here with our very first match on today's edition of Prodigy Bowlers Tour, as all 7 kids remaining in the field meet at the ball return for the customary handshake. We never start a match without a handshake. And as you see, we're going to bowl this league style, with 4 kids starting on the left lane and 3 starting on the right. And it looks like Jesse is going to lead off. He'll throw the first ball on the left lane. We're bowling on 37 and 38 today. And that's a pretty smart way to play this game. Just go for 3. You go for just 1 and you really risk throwing it in the gutter and getting a strike. Play for 3 and you're going to keep your score pretty low. Anthony. And he takes the same strategy and successfully plucks off 3 from the right side of the rack. And that's well done by Jesse. He keeps it on the lane and doesn't knock down any more pins. So that is a 3 in the first frame for Jesse. And Anthony does exactly the same thing, and that is well done. And Hunter lets it slip off his hand, and that is wide in the gutter, and that counts as a strike. Not what he wanted. It's a little counterintuitive to be aiming away from the pocket. There's Hayes Gabriel, and our first look at him on Prodigy today. And now Tristan Davis on the left lane.
7. 7.
And he had 6. It becomes 7. And he didn't quite get it as wide as he had hoped. Let's see how Hayes does with his second ball. Uh-oh. That's definitely not what he had in mind. 6 more gives him 9. And that's a good shot by Tristan. 7 out. That's what you want. And Big Logan catches a piece of the 3-pin, and that's usually trouble in this game, especially when you have as much ball speed as he has. That's a 7 count. And Nick gets more than he bargained for, with 6 on the first ball. Keep the ball on the lane, don't knock down any more pins, and that's a good thing. 7 out for Logan. Nick will try to do the same thing. He avoids all the pins. Remember, you can't throw it in the gutter. That would be a spare on the second ball. The idea is to get as few pins as possible without going in the gutter. Jesse almost gets just the 10. Here's Anthony. And he leaves 4, so that's a 6 count for Anthony. And now both of them will try to completely whiff the spares they have standing. And Jesse takes a couple more. That's 8 out. And 6 for Anthony. Again, the object is to get as few as possible, but you can't throw it in the gutter. That would be a strike or a spare. All right, Hunter has it figured out, and he throws for 3 and gets a 4th one. That's good count. Now he's on a strike because he threw his first ball in the gutter in the first frame. Hayes not quite as wide as he wanted to be. Gets 7. And Hunter nearly gets past all of them, leaves 4. That's 6 out. So he has 22 in the second frame. The scores are going to look pretty crazy by the time we get to the end. That's well done by Hayes. Avoid all 3 pins, keep the ball on the lane. And that is 7 in the second for Hayes, 16 through 2. Tristan almost plucks off the 10 pin, but he gets 4. There. Big Logan does what Tristan was trying to do there. Get just 1. But now Tristan's second shot will be a little easier than the one that Logan is facing. He will try to miss all 5 pins. But he gets some more and gets 7 out. Now Logan. Going for just the 7 pin, but gets a bunch more. And that's 7 out. So Logan 14 through 2 frames. Nick up on the right. Oh man, I don't know how that 3 pin didn't go down. Jesse once again successfully plucking off just 3. Nick ended up getting 5 on that first ball. Looks like he may be waiting for a ball return, so we'll let Jesse go ahead and throw his second ball in the frame again. Try to miss all 7 pins and keep the ball on the lane. Just like that. Now there are other ways of playing lowball. One way is to require players to get at least 1 pin on each ball, but I think that's a harder way to play it. I didn't want to make this too hard on them. This is the first time we played lowball on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, and figured I'd give them a break this first time. If we ever do it again, we might just play it where you have to knock down at least 1 pin on every ball. And if you don't on the first ball, it's a strike. If you don't on the second ball, it's a spare. But that's not the way we're doing it today. Hunter has it figured out. He misses the 3 pins, keeps the ball on the lane, and that is a 0 count for his second ball. And Hunter has 29 through 3 frames. As we continue to wait for Nick and the case of the missing bowling ball. Well, I didn't bring a deck of cards, so we'll just have to wait it out. As I mentioned, we started the day with 10 kids. The 3 who missed the cut: Nolan Kemp with a 196, Christian Manel with a 190, and Faith Roper with a 168. Faith was the only one who failed to break 190. And now Nick's ball is back. He will try to miss them all. Just like that. So he has 11 through 2 frames. And now Tristan on the left. Well, that's a little more like what he had in mind. He got a little more action back there than he wanted, though. And Anthony catches a piece of the 3 pin, so he's got 6 on his first ball. Really, the ideal shot is to just pluck off 3 or even 1 from the right or left side. And Tristan does well on the second shot, so that's 5 out for him. And Anthony flirting with the head pin, but he misses them all as planned, and that's 6 out. He has 15 through 3 frames. We're playing low ball. And that's the kind of shot you like on the first ball. Just 3 for Nick. Now Hayes. And sometimes when you get 3, you get a little more action back there, and Hayes, seemingly a good ball, gets 5. And Nick just barely misses that 3 pin, which would have sent several pins down, but he's 3 out, and that's just 14 through 3 frames. That's a good score. Now Hayes. Well, the temptation is to pull it away from the gutter, and he gets more than he wanted. And so does Anthony on the first ball in the 4th frame. That's 6. It is so weird to shoot away from the head pin like this. Uh-oh. Big Logan with 1 in the gutter, and that will count as a strike. Anthony going down the left side this time. Successfully keeps the ball on the lane while missing all the pins. And he has 21 through 4. Now it's Jesse on the right lane. Oh, man! That was daring. The ball stayed on the lane and got just 1. And Hayes gets way more than he wanted to. 7 on the first ball. Can Jesse pull off the best trick of all to get just 1 in the frame? He does!
That's very impressive.
That is very impressive. And that's not what you want. In a normal game of 10-pin bowling, knocking down a spare is pretty good, but not in low ball. Hunter gets 4. That's good count. Good low count. And you heard Logan say you hit 3 and you get 6. Well, you throw it with that kind of speed, you're going to get the pins to rattle around back there. There's Hunter successfully keeping the ball on the lane while avoiding the gutter and all the pins. Big Logan does the same, and in low ball, that's what you want. In this form of low ball, it is. And Tristan pulls off the 1 trick for his first ball. And now he'll try to put the second ball right over that same spot. Here's Jesse. Well, I thought he might have pulled that one a little left of where he wanted it, but he gets 5. Let's see what Tristan can do with this. Well, he gets 2 more, but 3 in a frame is pretty good. So 1 and 2 makes 3, and Tristan has 22 through 4 frames. That's a good score in low ball. Jesse successfully misses all 5 pins. And Nick trying to pluck off the 7. Throws it in the ditch, and that counts as a strike. And Hunter, left of where he wanted to be with that ball, gets 7 on his first ball in the 5th. And now here's Anthony bowling in the 5th. Again, he gets a little left of where he wanted it, but only gets 5. Hunter, a successful second ball. You want to miss them all, but you want to keep the ball on the lane. A gutter ball counts as a spare on your second ball or a strike on your first ball. And, well, once again, we've got a ball return. So Anthony's going to have to wait a minute before he shoots at the 1, 2, 5, 8, 9. So we'll watch Tristan on the left lane. And that's well done, just 3. This is great practice if you need practice at spares, because you have to be very accurate to keep the score way down. If you can get just 1 pin off the corner, that's ideal. But 3 is pretty good. And he puts that second ball right in that same area to miss all 7 pins while keeping the ball on the lane, and that is just 3 for Tristan in the 5th frame. So he's got a good score, 25 through 5 frames. The lower, the better. Now Nick. And he gets way more than he wanted. And the ringing 1. Well, you don't see the 1 pin left all by itself very often, but and you don't see the 1 pin missed very often when it is left, but that was the objective this time. So Nick with 9 out, and he has 42 through 5, and right now he's kind of behind everybody. Here's our upcoming schedule. We will not have league the next couple of weeks as we take a week off for Christmas and another week off for New Year's, so no Prodigy taping on the 22nd or 29th of December. But we will be back bowling league the first Saturday in January. That is the 5th. So we fully expect to be taping our next episode of Prodigy Bowlers Tour on January 5th, which means you can probably expect that episode to drop on the 11th. We tape on Saturday and usually release the show the following Friday. And Anthony well right of where he meant to throw that one and gets a few more pins, so that's 8 out. And these few pins here and there could prove critical when we get down to add up the scores at the end of the game. Anthony yielding the right of way to Hayes, who's now up on lane 38. And he successfully pulls out 3. Well, Anthony's just finding it hard to aim away from the head pin. He gets 7 there on the first ball. And now let's see how Hayes does with this. You'd like to miss all 7 pins and keep the ball out of the gutter. Oh no! And that will count as a spare. Anthony misses the 3 he left standing, so that's 7 out. And that gives Anthony 36 through 6. Big Logan. That is ideal right there. 1 pin. And if he can put his second ball in the same spot where he would miss all 9 pins standing while avoiding the gutter, he would score the perfect number in a frame, 1. but he gets 7 more. Man, that was close. He almost did it, but with his ball speed, he mixes them up, gets them to fall forward, and Logan now has 44 through 5. And up on the right is Jesse. He's played this game very well so far. That could easily have been just 3. He gets a little action on the back row and gets a total of 5, but leaves himself a spare that he can miss while not getting too close to the gutter. Now Hayes. Well, that's 7, and he was working on a spare. And Jesse ticks the 3-pin, and that's what's difficult about this game. You don't want to throw it in the gutter. That's a spare. So you aim away from the gutter, and then it's tough to avoid the 3-pin. Hayes going to try to miss all 3 pins. But on a normal 10-pin game, that'd be a good shot, but not in Lowball. That's more like what you're looking for. Hunter shows him how it's done and takes a bow. There's Big Logan once again getting 1. That's the 3rd time he's gotten just 1 on the first ball in a frame. The previous 2 times he got 6 and 7 on his second ball. He will try to do better this time. And Hunter successfully navigating that spare. Now Big. Well, he got close. He got 3 more. So that's 4. That's a good score in Lowball. Tristan. Well, that could have been 3, but ended up being 5. Still, not bad. That's more like what Tristan had in mind. You get those 3 and don't get that action on the back row. He knocked out the 7 and 8 as well to get 5. But now that is well done on his second ball. So Tristan with a score of 30 through 6. He's still sitting pretty. Jesse with just 3 on his first ball. And that's how you want to play the second ball, right over the same area without going in the gutter. Nick with just 1 on the first ball. And that is well done. And Hunter just ticked the 3-pin, but look at all the damage it caused. He gets 8 on his first ball. And how in the world do you do that? Plucking the 6-pin off of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't know that I've ever seen that. And that's not what Hunter wanted, a spare in the 7th. Remember, we're playing Lowball. The idea is to get as few as possible without going in the gutter. There's 4. That's a good shot by Anthony. I can't believe Nick plucked the 6-pin off of that. That's crazy. That would have been impossible back in the day on wood lanes when the pin decks were all wood. I think the synthetic laminates we bowl on today make some strange pinfall possible. Anthony not quite as wide as he'd have liked. With that shot, he gets 8 out. And Tristan misses the mark he was going for, so he gets 8 out as well. Those few pins that you add here and there could be critical When we get to the end, these matches are usually pretty close. There's a 3 count that turned into 6. And Nick just made the 6, 7, 8, 10 out of a full rack, leaving the 9 standing. He's a magician today.
Come on, Hayes, miss it. You never miss it. Come on.
You hear someone say, "Come on, Hayes, miss it." That's the objective. Oh, but don't miss it that wide. Into the gutter it goes, and that counts as a spare. And Nick doesn't get his shot as wide as he'd have liked either, so he gets 3 more for a 7 count. Big Logan on the right lane. And that time he's left of where he wanted to be, leaves 4. And Anthony gets 4. Pulled out the 6, 8, 9, 10 with that one. Logan with a fairly easy spare to shoot here. Just miss them all on the right. Keep it on the lane just like that. Well done. And now Anthony. Look out. Into the moat, and that will count as a spare, and that could be costly. Here's Jesse. Oh my goodness. Well, somehow the 3 remains standing even though the ball touched it, and he gets him to fall forward, and that's 7. About 4 more than he wanted. That's a good shot by Hayes there, working on a spare to keep his count low. But he is lapping the field in the wrong direction. And Jesse trying to go down the left side of the lane. That was the percentage play because he had more real estate on the left side of the lane to miss the pins, but he just missed and makes the spare. And there's Hayes bowling this game just the way you should. 3 on the first ball and none on the second. That's 3 out. And a good frame. And that's exactly what Hunter's doing. And he was on a spare. 3 more by Logan. Well, it looks like our last 3 players have figured it out. We're getting down to the end of this game, and every pin will matter. Look out. So Hunter gets 4 more for 7. Big Logan just keeps that one on the lane, so that is 3 out, 57 in the 8th. And Tristan, well, that is 5. Once again, he put it right there in the zone that you would want to get 3. But he got a little more pin action than he wanted. In the game of lowball, the object is to knock down as few pins as possible while avoiding the gutter. And look at this. Jesse plucks off the 6-10 off a full rack. That's essentially the same shot we saw Nick do. Good shot by Tristan, but I'm not believing that's twice in one match we've seen players pluck the 6-pin right off the rest of the rack. That seems highly improbable. That's more like what you would expect when you put a ball over there.
There you go.
And Jesse gets 2 the hard way. Or maybe it's the easy way, because I'm sure he wasn't thinking about trying to pluck off 2 when he threw his first ball. And Hunter gets 3 once again, so he's playing well. Nick polishes off his 8th frame with 3 out.
My recent frames have helped me. 1, 3, 6 gutter.
And there's Anthony in that same zone, but you hit the 6 pin a little too thin. You send it over to the left, and it does some damage on the left side of the rack as well.
There you go.
And there is a good shot by Hunter, avoiding all 7 pins for a 3-out count. And Anthony pulls out 2 more, so that's 8 for him, 68 through 9. And he may be in trouble. 3 pins by Tristan. He looks to be in pretty good shape right now. Looks like Hayes and Anthony are the 2 that may be in trouble. Hayes gets 5 on his first ball. Tristan gets 3 more. So 6 in the 9th frame, but he's in good shape with just 49 through 9.
Hey, y'all do me a favor, stand by the right, please. Thank you.
And Hayes just avoids the gutter, barely. And that's 5 out. He has 91 through 9. And Nick gets a few more than he had in mind. There's 5. Big Logan. It is so hard sometimes to make yourself throw ball after ball away from the pocket, away from the head pin, that every once in a while you're going to let one leak. Oh, that one goes in the gutter. So that is Nick with a spare in the 9th, and that could be trouble for him.
Yeah, good job. We're good.
Big Logan keeps it on the lane and avoids all 4 pins. That's what you want to do on your second ball. So we've come to the 10th frame. And at the moment, it appears to be Hayes and Anthony who are in the biggest trouble. Hunter has 66 through 9, and Nick, with that spare in the 9th, has at least 64 in the 9th. So, looks like Hunter and Nick could be on the bubble. We'll see. We're going to lose 2 more players. We'll have 5 at the end of this. There's 6. Anthony, that puts him at 74. Just 4 pins for Jesse. Unless he does something crazy here, he should be safe. Anthony keeps it on the lane, avoiding all 4 pins, so his final score is 74. The bottom 2 players, or should I say the 2 with the highest scores, will be eliminated. Jesse keeps the ball on the lane. That's 4 out for a score of 49. Looks like he's going to be the winner of this game. And Hayes throws one in the channel. That counts as a strike. So congratulations, Hayes. You may be the only one who breaks 100. 4 for Hunter. And it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Hayes with the second ball in the 10th. And once again he throws it in the gutter, trying to get just 1. So that counts as a second strike. Hayes with the only double in the match. Hunter with 4 out in the 10th. He's in with 70. And now Hayes. Might as well just go for the pocket on this one. Well, that's 8, and he will finish with a score of 119. 4 for Tristan, 4 and a couple of wiggles there. So Hayes is out. Now it's just a matter of determining who the second player will be who's going to be eliminated. Big Logan with 1 on his first ball. Tristan, after a 4 count on his first ball, gets 3 more. That's 7. So he's in with a 56. So he's safe. Hunter is safe. And Big Logan playing the 7-10 game quite effectively in the final frame. He finishes with a 65. He's safe. So Nick just has to shoot below 74, and he'll be safe. And with that 1 count, I would say he is in pretty good position here. He's just got to avoid getting 8 more. If he were to happen to finish with 9 out in this frame, he would shoot 74, and he and Anthony would tie, and we'd go to a roll-off to see which one is eliminated. But that'll do. And so Nick finishes with a 69. We know who our 2 players are that are being eliminated, and we will see who's left when we return on Prodigy Bowlers Tour.
Hi, I'm Big Logan.
I'm Logan's grandmother.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Hi, I'm Christian.
Hi, I'm Hope Bloomberg.
And Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
A few moments later.
After our first match and a game of lowball, we see that Jesse notched the lowest score, a 49. That's great bowling. Tristan was second with 56. Logan took third, scoring a 65. Nick was fourth with a 69. And Hunter grabbed the fifth spot with a 70. Anthony and Hayes were eliminated in this round. And now Hayes will do the honors and open the next envelope, which will reveal which game we're playing next.
Rip it.
The suspense is killing
Just rip it open. The paper, you'll just put it back together. Just put the paper back together. My one.
Read it out loud and clear.
Pinpoint.
So it's Pinpoint. Pinpoint was actually a game show back in the 60s that featured professional bowlers. The way it works is this. You get up to 2 balls per frame, except in the first and 10th frames when you only get 1 ball. In each frame, you're tasked with knocking down a prescribed number of pins. In the first frame, you must get 10 pins. In the second frame, you must get 9 pins, no more, no less. Then in the third frame, you need 8 pins, no more, no less. The fourth frame, 7 pins, and so on. In each subsequent frame, the number of pins you need drops 1 until you get to the 10th frame when you need just 1 pin. Now, if you knock down more pins than you need on your first ball, you're done. You don't get to reset and try again. But if you get fewer than the number of pins you need on your first ball, you can throw a second ball and try to get to the prescribed number. But again, you only get 1 ball in the first and 10th frames. Points are awarded in each frame if you get the prescribed number of pins. In the first and second frames, it's worth 10 points. In the third and fourth frames, it's 20 points. In the fifth and sixth, 30 points. In the seventh and eighth, you can get 40 points. And in the 9th and 10th, 50 points. Score in all 10 frames and you shoot 300. Usually a score over about 100 is pretty good. You either score the number of points available in the frame or you score nothing. And that's how we play Pinpoint. We've sequenced the players in the order they finished match 1. So our leader, Jesse, will lead off. I think the thing I like most about Pinpoint is that it not only forces players to be good spare shooters, but they also have to be good problem solvers. I first sprung this game on the kids that bowl in our leagues here at Brunswick Zone Roswell about, 3 or 4 years ago. And it was met with mixed reviews, let's just say. Here's Jesse. All right, he gets just 7. The object in frame 1 is to get all 10. And again, frames 1 and 10, you only get 1 ball. So Jesse scores 0 in the first frame. This first frame is worth 10 points. So Tristan will give it a try. Frame 1 is pretty straightforward. You need a strike. And that's one shot that Tristan has in his arsenal. So he gets 10 points in frame 1. Someone pointed out that after that game of lowball with everybody throwing plastic all over the lane, that there's going to be some serious carry down now. And it could be that Logan just found it. That's 8, and that will be 0 for him in frame 1. And now Nick, who has proven on Prodigy that he can strike on anything. Now, we are bowling on the house shot today. But like I said, after that lowball game, no telling what this pattern has morphed into. That's 8. And that'll be good for 0 in the first frame for Nick. Now you got to get 10 pins with 1 ball in the first frame, and then frames 2 through 9, you can have up to 2 balls in the frame. But if you go over the allotted pinfall that you need on the first ball, you're done. And Hunter doesn't quite bring that one back. That's 6, and that's no good. So Tristan, the only one to score in the first frame. It is not uncommon to see players get skunked in this game. We are in frame 2. The objective is to get 9 pins. It's good for 10 points. All right, he gets 6. So now he gets a second ball to try to get 3 more. It's pretty obvious what he will want to try to do here, and that is to knock down the 1, 2, and 8 and leave the 10 pin. It's 10 points or nothing. And that will be nothing. He gets 8, not 9. So, Jesse with a goose egg through 2 frames. So now Tristan. The objective here in the second frame is to get 9 pins, no more or less. Oh, no. Tristan would probably tell you that in most matches, that 7 pin would have stood up, but not when he needed 9. So that's 0 in the second for Tristan. Now Big Logan. Well, he had 9 for an instant, but that high rev rate and maximum ball speed, he paid the price. Nick. That's how you get 9. And you hear Logan say, that's what I was trying to do. So Nick gets on the board. That's 10 points. The first 2 frames are worth 10. The third and fourth, 20. Fifth and sixth, 30. 40 for frames 7 and 8, and 50 for 9th and 10th frame scores. And there's 9 for Hunter, so he's on the board as well.
8 pins is good for 20 points.
So we move to the third frame. The object now is to get 8 pins, no more, no less, and it's good for 20 points. And that's too many. So as we mentioned earlier, if you go over the number of pins you need on your first ball, you don't get a second ball. The smart play, I think, is to aim away from the head pin, try to get 8 or less, and then clean up whatever's left. Okay, he's got the 1, 2, 8. So he needs to get one of these. And I think the way to play this would be to try to hit the left side of the 2 pin, send the 2 pin off to the right so that it misses the 8. The ball will deflect left, and you'll have the 1, 8 standing. But instead, he knocks them all down, and that's not all that helpful in Pinpoint. So another 0 in the third for Tristan. He's got 10 points so far. Now Big Logan. Okay, there's 6. He needs 8. So how would you go about doing this? I think I would probably shoot for the 5 pin, take out the 5, 8. You could also go for the 4 pin and get the 4, 8. That's what he's trying to do, but he whiffs it completely, and 6 pins is not what he needed. So another 0 in the third, and Logan is still yet to get on the board. Now Nick. Okay, there's 6. He's got the 1, 2, 8, 9. Now this is a little trickier, but I think I would probably shoot this the same way Tristan needed to shoot the 1, 2, 8. Just put the ball on the left side of the 2, send it over into the 9, and hope that it misses the 8. That's what he's trying to do. But the ball doesn't hook. Could be some of that carry down we talked about earlier. That's 9 and not what Nick needed, so no score so far here in the 3rd frame. Now Hunter is just throwing a ball in the gutter to get that deadwood out. That's got a hook if he's going to get the deadwood, though. There he does. So that didn't count. He's just trying to do a little housekeeping. And now he'll need to reset the rack, so I think he's going to get another ball. This is his plastic ball, so that may not be such a bad play here. Well, that's not what he wanted. That is a gutter ball, and those 2 pins that fell down, the 7 and 8, are going to have to be reset. So we'll have to wait for the machine to cycle again at least once before Hunter can throw his 2nd ball in the frame. He needs 8, and he's already spent his 1st ball, so he's going to have to get 8 on this shot to score in the 3rd frame. And that's 6. So goose eggs all around for our players in the 3rd frame. Nobody scores. So we are moving on. And next up is frame 4, where the idea is to get 7 pins, and it's worth 20 points. You should try this game at home. It's actually a lot of fun, and it is very difficult. There's 6. He needs to get 1 of these pins to score in the 4th frame, and that's going to be a little tricky. If you take off the 4 pin, you're likely to get the 8, unless you do what Jesse and Nick did in our first game of Lowball. Picking the 6 off a full rack is about the same as picking the 4 off a full rack. I think I'd try to slide the 1 pin in front of the 2. Try to hit super light on the 1 pin. That's what he's trying. Just got a little too much of it is all. So Jesse still waiting to get on the board. Tristan, who scored in the 1st frame, looking to score again here in the 4th. He needs 7 pins. There's 3. Now, this is not going to be the easiest shot in the world. Under some circumstances, you might go for the 3 on the left, but he needs 4. And by throwing at the 4-7, he's not really going to get the 5 unless he hits super light. I think maybe the play here is to go for the 3 pin and try to leave the 1-2-4 or the 1-2-8 maybe. But he gets a piece of the head pin, and that's not going to work. So that's another 0 in the 4th for Tristan. I told you this game is not easy. It can be very difficult, and I have seen lots of players get shut out, especially if they've never played this game before. Well, there's 8, and unfortunately, Logan needed 7. So that puts him over the number, so he doesn't get a 2nd ball this frame. And waiting for Logan and Jesse to get on the board. These first 2 games, it's a little Counterintuitive to aim away from the pocket. Well, there's 7 right there, the 1-2-4. So Nick scores in the 4th frame. That's worth 20 points. And he goes out to a 20-point lead with 30 through 4. And now Hunter can join him if he can get 7. There's 7. Well done. So we've got 2 players with 30, Tristan with 10, Jesse and Logan still knocking on the door, trying to get on the board. And we move to the 5th frame where you want 6 pins, no more, no less, and it's good for 30 points. Oh my goodness. And he leaves the T formation, the 1-5-8-9. And that's 6, and Jesse is on the board with 30 points, and we now have a 3-way tie at the top. I was going to say the easiest way to get 6 is to take 3 off the right side and then 3 off the left side. And that's what Tristan was trying to do, but he hit light on the 6 pin and gets just 5. But now this is a very doable opportunity. He's got the 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. All he needs to do is take out the 7 and leave the other 4 standing. Oh no. And he throws that one in the moat, and that's not going to work. So Tristan still with 10 points. And now Big Logan. Okay, there's 5. He needs 6. So the play here, you got to figure, is to try to knock down the 4 pin. That's what he will be trying to do. Get the 4 only and leave the 1, 2, 3, 5. He needs to get just 6 pins, no more, no less. And he did it. That is well done. You might say that was a pinpoint shot. Oh, I did say it. All right, now Nick. Look at this. We've got a 4-way tie for the lead right now. Well, I think he was going for 3. So now he's going to have to get the 6 in just 1 ball. He's going for the left side. And that will be handy later in the match when he's going for just 1, but not what he had in mind here. So Nick gets a big fat 0 in the 5th frame. So now it's Hunter's turn. Hunter, the only junior varsity player who was in our field today. And that ball through the nose, getting 9, is not what he had in mind. So we had 2 players, Jesse and Logan, both score in the 5th. Both of them got on the board for the first time. And we have a 4-way tie heading into the 6th frame where they need 5 pins for 30 points. And that's 2 too many. 7. So Jesse will sit on 30 for now. This frame worth 30 points, so Tristan could move out into the lead if he can get 5. He's been getting 5 a lot so far. But that went a little wide of where he wanted it. So he'll have to do 5 in one shot here. That's okay. He's done that several times today. He did it a few times in our lowball match. He needs 5. And he gets 6. 1 too many. So that's another big 0 for Tristan, as Logan coming up. Needs 5. He may want to take something off this one. Oh, there's 5. He leaves the 1, 2, 5, 8, 9. So with that, Big Logan scores in both the 5th and 6th frames. And now he has 60. And he has moved out into the lead. Nick can join him with 5 pins here. But he gets a little too much pin action. And 8 is more than enough. So Hunter will hit the reset button, sweep those 2 away, and deal a fresh set of pins. And now Hunter needs 5. And that's too many. So we will move on to frame 7. And now they need just 4 pins. It's worth 40 points. The best play is to get 3 and then 1. Or 1 and then 3. Jesse in good shape to get this done now. But the trick is to pull out just the 4, 7, 8 without the 9. This is very achievable. But he gets a piece of the 2 pin, so that's too many. 7 is no good here in the 7th frame, so Tristan will move over to the left lane, trying to score again. He got that strike in the first frame and hasn't gotten anything since. And trying to get 4, he gets 1 too many. And just like I mentioned in that last frame when they were going for 5, Tristan has done that several times. He just did it again. But it doesn't help him in the 7th frame when he needed 4. All right, Big Logan. He scored in each of the last 2 frames. Oh, he had 4. He had 4, but they just kept falling. And 6 is more than he needed. So now we move on to Nick. That's well done right there. He gets the 1 out of the way. So now one would presume that he will go for 3 off the right side of the rack. That's the way you play for 4. Get 1 and then 3, or the other way around. But he misses wide, fails to get the 3. He gets the tough one first, and then misses the easier one. So that's A 0 in the 7th frame, and now Hunter will try to get 4 pins. And he did. That's 4 pins. And he gets his 40 points. And now Hunter has moved out into the lead with 70. How about that? So, getting down to the end now, as we will head to the 8th frame. The idea is to get 3 pins only. No more, no less. It's good for 40 points. And Jesse, who's been getting 3 at a time all day, he did it several times in the Lowball match. This time, he hit in the 6-10 zone, but scattered the pins over on the left side of the rack as well. And he gets too many. He needed just 3. So Jesse stays at 30 points. And Tristan now, he can move into 3rd place with 40 points here if he can get 3. But no, he gets 4. He got the 5, 6, 8, 10. He left the 9. That is 1 too many. So Tristan fails to score in the 8th frame. That was close. Had to count those. All right, Logan needs 3. Oh, he went down to his knees for that one, but hit in the 6-10 area and scattered him on the left side. That's 5. That's 2 too many. So we move on to Nick. Nobody has scored yet here in the 8th frame. This should be one of the easier ones. But he gets 7, so that's no good. These kids were getting 3 almost on demand in the Lowball match. But they're having trouble doing it here in the 8th frame in Pinpoint. Hunter needs 3 pins, no more, no less. And he gets 6. So once again, as in the 3rd frame, it's goose eggs all around in the 8th, and we move to the 9th frame. The idea is to get just 2 pins, no more, no less. It's good for 50 points. And obviously they will try to pluck off the 7 and 10 pins. Well, Jesse gets the 10. That is well done now. Unless he wants to try what, I don't remember if it was him or Nick in the Lowball match. One of them had this same leave and plucked off the 6 pin only. I don't think you want to play for that. Jesse will go for the 7. That was pretty remarkable when we saw that in the last game. Oh, just wide of the mark. So 2 pretty good shots, but not quite good enough on the second one. So that's a 0 in the 9th frame. Tristan, he's got to get busy here. He needs to get a score here. That's 3, and that's 1 more than he needed. You've got to have nerves of steel to pluck off the 7 and 10 pins. Norm Duke talks about this as a drill that he does for spare shooting, and it is a great drill to try to pick off just the 7 and 10 pins in no particular order. Let's see if Logan can do it. Well, he'll have to get both of them in one ball. And that would be quite a feat. Now, I have to tell you that when I was a junior bowler, about Hunter's age, he's 11, I once made the 710, but I was shooting at a full rack. How it happened, I have no idea. Something in the pit rattled around when I picked off the 10 pin and tipped out the 7. But that's not how you do it. That's 7 pins. Logan needed 2, so he gets another big fat 0 on his score.
That's not right.
Now remember, only the top 3 in this match are moving on to our next game. And Nick is just throwing a ball down there to get Deadwood out of the gutter, so that didn't count. So we will wait for him to re-rack. And again, the object here is 2 pins. You've got 2 balls to do it. Well, there's the 10 pin. He's still alive. Now remember, if he would happen to pick off just the 7 pin here in his second ball, that would be 50 points, give him 80, he would move out into the lead. He needs just the 7 pin here. And he did it. So that's 2 in the 9th frame. That's what you needed. And Nick scores 50 points, and he now sits at 80 in first place. Hunter needing just 2 pins. That's got a hook. Well, it did, but a little too late. He gets too many. 7's no good, so they are down to the 10th and final frame. So now Tristan can get to 60. That would get him in 3rd place. That would force a roll-off with Logan. Remember, we're only taking the top 3 into the next match. They need just 1 pin. It's worth 50 points. And remember, in the 10th frame, they only get 1 ball. And Jesse gets it done. And that gives him 80. He's now tied for the lead with Nick. And guess what? That just shut out Tristan. The most he can get is 60. And there's already 3 players ahead of that number in Jesse, Nick, and Hunter. So Tristan will go through the motions here. And he just throws one down the right side of the lane. He would never shoot at the 10 pin that way. But that is a final score of 10 for Tristan. Boy, he got that strike in the first frame and nothing the rest of the way. That's surprising. He got close. Tristan, one of our best spare shooters. But Pinpoint, not for him. And now Logan. He must score here in the 10th frame. He's got 60. There are 3 players ahead of him, and we're only taking 3 into the next match. The machine is on the 2nd ball cycle. I guess it doesn't matter since he only gets 1 throw, but look at the 6 pin. It's a little off spot, sitting a little to the right of where it belongs. And Logan just spotted that, and he's like, I want none of that. He's going to try to pick off the 10 pin, and he needs that 6 pin on spot, and it's fine now. But he misses his mark, and actually that decides it. Our top 3 players are going to be Jesse, Nick, and Hunter. Logan at 60 will finish 4th, and Tristan with 10 will finish 5th. Only the top 3 are moving on, so we know who they are. It's just a matter of who finishes 1st and 2nd. Nick taking a long look at this. He gets too many. So he finishes with 80, tied with Jesse. We know who's moving on, and the places don't really matter other than just for bragging rights. But now Hunter gets one ball to try to win this game of Pinpoint. He could finish with a score of 120 if he plucks off one pin. And that's close, but not to be. So it's going to be Jesse with 80, Nick with 80, and Hunter with 70. And they are moving on to match 3. What game will we play? Find out next.
Hi, this is Hayes. And this is Hayes' dad. And we want to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Hi, this is Tristan Davis.
And I'm Tristan's mom.
And we want to wish you a happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Hi, this is Faith.
It's Faith, Mom.
Face Dad.
And
Happy holidays.
we want to wish you happy holidays.
Yep.
She holds that up. We gotta retry this.
Well, Jesse and Nick both finished with scores of 80, which isn't great, but I've seen lower scores win in Pinpoint. Hunter was right there with 70. Logan had chances at the end, but he couldn't pick off a single pin in the 10th to force Hunter to match him. So he's out, and so is Tristan, who struck in the first frame but got skunked the rest of the way. So it's time we draw for the game in match 3. Tristan will do the honors.
I have no medals.
Well, at least I don't have to worry about centers. It's a regular game, but 7. Rip it! Just tear it.
Good work. Good work.
That's what killed me.
He can bowl, but he can't tear an envelope open.
And then I got eliminated in game over. I'm out.
And what are we playing?
And Tristan has drawn 9-pin no-tap. Well, everyone knows how this game works. You get 9 on the first ball, and it counts the same as a strike. Everything else works the same as normal 10 pins. Nick is leading off. I think this is probably everybody's favorite game, especially on the house shot, because with players like the ones we've got here, we could see some pretty high scores. And Nick says, I don't need no stinking 9-pin no-tap rules. I can strike on my own. He gets the light shaker to go. All right, next will be Jesse. And he's right there as well. Well, Jesse finished second in the qualifying game, and then in Lowball, he took top honors. And then he and Nick tied for first in that match of Pinpoint. So the two of them have been duking it out pretty much all the way through the Christmas surprise. But now Hunter. And he comes in a little light. He leaves the 2-4-5-7. And we'll take a look at how to make this. Even in a blizzard, you want to put the ball between the 2 and the 5. You can make it on the other side too, but here's how we recommend. And Hunter does it perfectly. So everybody marks in the first frame, and now Nick up in the second. You see, everybody started on the same lane. Everybody will end on the same lane. And another solid pocket hit for Nick. Now, as is our custom, whenever we cover 9-pin no-tap on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, you get an X when it's a legitimate strike and an N when it's a no-tap strike. Well, there's 8. So Jesse will have to settle for a maximum 280 score. Be pretty awesome if he got it. All three of these players certainly capable of getting 9 most any time. And Jesse covers that choppable 2-5 spare. Next to go is Hunter. Well, he didn't give that one quite enough room. He gave the first one in the first frame a little too much room, a little overcorrection this time. And he's got the 6-10. He'll go cross lane at it. Uses his spare ball. And he converts the spare. So everybody's clean through 2 frames. That's how we like to see it. And now Nick. Wearing his hoodie again today. I don't think he loved that one when he let it go, and you can see why, as it didn't drive through. Leaves the 5, but that's good enough for a 9-pin no-tap strike. We have new scoring system here at Brunswick Zone Roswell, and it is capable of keeping track of 9-pin no-tap, but since we're bowling a different format every game, we figured we wouldn't bother them at the counter. And there's a strike for Jesse. So, strike, spare, strike to start. And now Hunter. And the young man registers his first no-tap strike of the game. Oh! And Nick goes just a little high, and now he's got a problem. The 4-9. Put that ball over on the left side of the 4-pin, slide it over into the 9. It's a beautiful thing when it happens. But too much 4-pin, and Nick registers the first open frame of this match. And the one thing you don't want in 9-pin no-tap is an open frame. There's 9 for Jesse, so he gets his first double of the match. Big Logan steps in to get the last of his equipment off the rack as he's heading home. Nick. Looked like that one was a little wide, but the house shot guided that one right back into the pocket. Got to get up. Boy, did it ever. And Hunter with a solid strike in the 4th. And holding his own here against the big guys. Jesse with a light shaker leaves the 7, but in 9-pin no-tap, that's all you need. Well, with these different rules we have each game, you gotta figure an 11-year-old with Hunter's talent could be there at the end. He just gotta bowl his best. But I have seen this little guy uncork some 230s and 240s in league, so I know he's capable. There's an 8 count to break the string of strikes. Now Nick. Once again, that ball started to hook early, but because he's throwing urethane, it doesn't overreact. As Hunter covers his spare, staying clean through the first half of the game. And in case you didn't notice, this match moving along much faster than the previous ones. Now Jesse working on a turkey. Oh, but his string stops suddenly and dramatically as he leaves the washout. The 1-2-10. Here's how you make it. Move your feet 7 boards to the right. Throw your strike ball over your strike target at the arrows. The ball will hook over to the Brooklyn side and convert the washout. But that's a little too much hook. And there's an open for Jesse.
All right, Hunter.
All right. Hunter now up on the right. Oh, no. You don't want to do that. The 4, 6, 7. Nick shreds the rack in the 7. Puts up a 3rd strike in a row. Hunter will just go for count. Looked like that ball kind of slipped off his hand a little bit, but he's still got 9 out. That's about as good as you can hope for on the 4, 6, 7. Jesse comes in light and mixes them up. So he's back on the strike train. Now Hunter. And Hunter shreds the rack with that little 12-pound ball. Well, it's not little, it's the same size as everybody else's, but just 12 pounds. He can make those pins dance too. We will take the top 2 into the championship match. Who will it be? Now Nick got his 2nd turkey of the match working. And that'll be 4 in a row, whether the 10 falls or not. It's good enough for a 9-pin no-tap strike. And now Jesse. He needs another strike just to stay within shouting distance of Nick. There's another ripper. So these guys have definitely found the line. And now Hunter, he's going to have to do his level best just to keep up with these guys. But he can do it. There's 9 and another no-tap strike. Oh, no! Are you kidding me? Well, Nick, you should be ashamed of yourself. Watch this. This is going to hook early, and then it just sets on the nose. And I don't know what that is. Probably the 2-pin comes over and gets the 6 and 10. What a great break. And Jesse right in the pocket. And that is a big-time strike. And he stays right there on Nick's heels. Hunter needs another one. And he plows him over. Look at this little guy. He is not scared to bowl with anybody. All right, Nick up in the 10th frame. He can stamp his ticket to the championship match. And there's a strike in the 10th. So that puts him in the 250s. So he is in the championship match. It's now just a question of who he's going to be bowling. There is the 210 split. With a conversion, he would shoot 254. Here's how you make the 210. Put the ball over on the left side of the 2 and try to throw it over into the 10. And how about that? Nick's got all the shots. Let's watch this one again. Love to see those. All right, Jesse. And he rips them apart on his first ball in the 10th. And now that sets up this situation. He needs 9 on the next ball, and that'll shut out Hunter. If Jesse would happen to get 8 on this ball, he would need to convert the spare to shut out Hunter. But that strike will do it. That'll put him in the 240s. And Hunter's going to go home in 3rd place. And in a field of 10, all of them bigs. That's pretty good for one of our littles to fare that well. And that's a 6-bagger to close. Every one of them a natural strike. And Jesse with 10 strikes in this match, 9 of them natural strikes. And you see Hunter turning around. He's disappointed. Little guy does not like losing. And you know what? I don't blame him. I don't like losing either. Although I don't think any of these kids are losers today. This is just a fun day, and this little guy bowled his heart out. He always does. And he gets another one from all the way across the lane. If he fills it up here on the final ball, he will shoot 232. And the 9 finally goes out, so he finishes with a 230. And I think Jesse is telling him that he's not going to stay. Well, I guess we'll just have to unwrap this surprise when we return. The championship match is next.
Hi, I'm Jesse Ganayam, and I want to wish you a happy holidays from Prodigy.
Hey, I'm Anthony Smiga.
I'm Anthony's father, Matthew.
And we wish you a Merry Christmas.
Hi, I'm Hunter,
And I'm Hunter's dad.
and we wish you a happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Well, Nick's no-tap 254 was good enough to put him in a familiar spot in the championship match on Prodigy. And Jesse needed just about every one of those 6 strikes he closed with to edge Hunter, who put up a strong 230. But at the last minute, we have a scratch. Jesse informed us that he'd hurt his finger, and I think he and his dad had to be somewhere, and he has withdrawn, leaving Hunter to fend for himself in the championship match against the winningest player this season on Prodigy, Nick Dissinger. So the draw could be critical here, and the final match will be played under the rules of Suicide No Tap. Well, this is good news for Hunter, as this is the one format that could very easily act as an equalizer. Here's how you play Suicide No Tap. It's similar to 9-pin No Tap, but with a devilish twist. If you get 9 on your first ball, it counts as a strike, just as in normal No Tap. But if you throw a natural strike on your first ball, it counts the same as a gutter ball, 0, and you must throw at a full rack for your spare. So a player like Nick, with his amazing carry, will have to be very careful not to throw strikes and leave himself with 10 pins to shoot at for his spares. So here we go, for the honors on this week's Christmas episode of Prodigy. Nick, being the higher finisher, has chosen to finish first, so Hunter will lead off. And there's the ceremonial handshake to get things rolling. And now with just 2 players, we will revert back to PBA style, with Hunter starting on the left. Oh, yikes. Well, he's got the 1-2-10. We've seen this before today. The washout. Move your feet about 7 boards right, throw it over your strike target, and you should hit the left side of the head pin and throw it into the 10. Oh, it just hooked a little too much at the end. So that's an open frame. Now, the good news is, in Suicide No Tap, usually about 165 is good enough. And Nick gets a strike quickly with a 9 count. The thing about this game is, if you play for a 9 count, you're liable to get some natural strikes, leaving yourself 10 pins to shoot at for a spare, and oftentimes losing a ton of pins in count. This time Nick leaves a couple, and there's an 8 count. And he has no problem converting the 4-7, so 20 in the first gives him a 12-pin lead over Hunter, who moves over to the right lane. And that, I suspect, a little farther left than he meant to throw it. I think he was probably trying to hit the Brooklyn pocket. That's where you want to throw it for the spare, the 1-3-8-10. Best way to play it is with a straight ball down the left side of the lane, right at the left side of the head pin. But he's going to hook at it. Oh, he chops the head pin off the 3, and that's back-to-back opens, so 16 through 2. Not the start he wanted. You can hear the raucous down to our left. There's a birthday party going on. There's a 9 count for Hunter. And that counts as a strike in Suicide No Tap, so he's on the board, but trailing by 24 as Nick steps up on the right lane. Comes in light, leaves 3. The 2-4-5. Not the easiest spare to convert either. Knowing Nick, he'll probably go down the left side, hard and straight. That's the way I recommend shooting the 2-4-5. So, 21 pins separating them, but it's early. Well, it almost seems like Nick is playing for that light hit. He got a strike with it in the first frame, and he's left makeable spares the rest of the way. But he missed this one. So an open frame, and that will tighten this match. And now Hunter, with a strike up in the third, trails by just 8. He can take the lead with a 9 count here. But that's 8. Now he doesn't lose count because it's not a spare he was working on. It was a no-tap strike. The N indicates a strike. You won't see any X's in this game because a natural strike counts as a gutter. There's a spare for Hunter. Keeps the match close. We'll watch this one split screen. And all the body language in the world won't keep the 310 from staying up. Here's how you make the baby split. You play it from the left side of the lane. Straighter is greater in this case. Let the ball deflect off the 3 into the 10. But he gets a little too much of the 3-pin, and he's disgusted. That's 3 opens in 5 frames. Trouble for Hunter. Nick just firing harder and harder. Leaves the 1-2-4. And it gets swept off the lane. Well, we've talked about it before. Prodigy is unofficial, informal, and impromptu after league challenge matches. And in cases like this, we'll just have him shoot the full rack. And if it makes the 1-2-4, we'll give him a spare. And that looked like he made it. We can watch it in slow motion and see for sure. The ball gets the 1 and the 2, and the 2 gets the 4. Not much doubt about that one. The Russian judges all give him a 10. I think that's good. The audience likes it too, so that's a spare. Hey, we do some goofy things here. It's Christmas. And there's another 9 count. And that counts as a strike in suicide no-tap, so Nick still with a 21-pin lead. Oh, and look at this. Oh, the rack came down on Hunter. The fans are revolting. They don't like it. That might have been a no-tap strike. We won't know. Hunter's not happy. No one's happy. Well, as long as they don't start throwing food on the lanes. Well, Hunter is going to inspect his bowling ball. I think it has a little nick on it. And I'm not talking about his opponent. But he'll have to do that one over. Nothing we can do about it. Sometimes the reset button on lane 38 gets stuck and it just keeps cycling. All right, we're rooting him on. We want to see 9 out of Hunter here. Oh, but no. No, not a strike. That counts as a gutter ball. And now things just not going Hunter's way. But he doesn't lose any count. He wasn't on a spare. And there's a real spare. So that's as good as if he'd gotten 8 on the first ball. Of course, he might have gotten 9 if that rack hadn't come down. We'll never know. An unfortunate occurrence I remember a YouTube video once, a guy had a 300 going, last ball, hits it right on the rake like that. There's 9 for Hunter. So if that rake hadn't come down and it had been a 9 count in the 6th, he would have a double up now. But as it is, he trails by 21, and Nick has gone to a 6-pound ball. And that ball deflects in front of and around the 6-pin. As he gets a 9 count, that counts as a strike. Watch this. Watch the ball deflect around the 6-pin. That's crazy. All right, Nick up in the 8th. Double working. This time he gets them all to go down. And now he's going to lose 10 pins in count, working on a double as he was. So his 31-pin lead shrinks down to 21. And that's 9 out. Trying to throw a little backup ball. And look at this. All of a sudden, this match is down to within a mark. Hunter trails by 9. Oh, no!
All right, come on.
If that 7 had stayed up, he'd have a double. He would have taken the lead. But a strike counts as a gutter ball in suicide no tap. And he picks up the spare. So he stays close to Nick, still trailing by just 9. We'll watch this one again. This for his spare. And that's 10 back. Watch his reaction to it. And a pretty subdued reaction. He thinks he's lost the match. But Hunter, you're still within 9. All right, boy, it would have been nice if maybe that 3 had fallen. But an 8 count on a spare, not bad. He's down 11. He needs to convert the 1-3 here. And he gets it. So we're going to have a close finish. That's what we like to see. Nick sticks with this 6-pound ball strategy. I don't know about that. He leaves the 1-3-9. Here's how you make it. You got to hit light on the 1-pin to send that 3 straight back into the 9. That's especially critical with a light ball. Oh, but he whiffs the whole thing. And look at this. Nick just handed Hunter the lead. Well, the plot thickens as we go to the 10th frame. Nick wisely stays wide of the head pin. Now is not a time to get a strike for a gutter. He's got the 1-2-4. And he covers it. But Hunter's going to step up in the 10th frame with the lead. And Nick, carefully avoiding the head pin, gets 7. And he finishes with a 156. So the situation is this. Hunter needs to fill 16 in the 10th. He's got to be careful. He's on a spare. Don't strike. No! And that hands the match to Nick. Even with a spare, and a 9 count for a strike on the fill ball. Hunter would only get to 151. Nick has won the Christmas surprise. Look at this. He wanted 9. He got 10. That counts as a gutter ball. And with that, he hands it to Nick. And oh, look at him. No. Oh, he's pretty upset. This little guy has a fire burning, and he wanted to win so bad. He just wants to dig a hole and crawl in. Oh, man. But there are no sad endings on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. That's a rule. And we'll talk to both our winner and our runner-up next.
I heard the bells on Christmas Day. Their old familiar carols play, and wild and sweet the words repeat of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And thought how, as the day had come, the belfries of all Christendom had rolled along the unbroken song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Till ringing, singing on its way, the world revolved from night to day, a voice, a chime, a chant sublime of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then from each black accursed mouth, the cannon thundered in the south, and with the sound, the carols drowned of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And in despair, I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then pealed the bells more loud and deep. God is not dead, nor doth he sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail, with peace on earth, goodwill to men.
The perfect Christmas gift for the bowler on your list is inside this envelope. It's a Brunswick Bowler's Gift Certificate, and with it a bowler can get a high-scoring Brunswick ball, bag, and bowling shoes. So why not stop in at your favorite bowling lane, sports, jewelry, or department store and pick up a Brunswick Bowler's Gift Certificate? Yes, this Christmas, why not give all 3 the easy Brunswick Gift Certificate way? And that's the way to take care of your Christmas shopping.
Well, you saw that our runner-up was pretty sad over coming up short in the championship match. Usually in bowling, when you throw a strike, good things happen. But in this format, a strike was no good. And just before Hunter got up in the 10th, I told him, whatever you do, don't throw a strike here. And, well, you saw what happened. And then the waterworks came on. And you know what? I know just the thing that will help Hunter put a smile back on his face. It's a little trick I shared with a couple of other junior bowlers a few months back.
I recommend this to all people. Do not wear headphones for this.
Why is that?
Because I lost.
Because you lost, and what's about to happen?
Well, if you look back to March 31st, 2018, and Spiros and Faith screamed at a tree, and it's a lovely day for screaming. So
Yes, it is. Would you like to just do it here in the parking lot?
yeah.
All right, let her rip. I thought he was going to stay here.
Same.
Do you feel better?
Yeah.
I told you you would.
Wait, you did?
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
So, With smiles back on everyone's faces, let's recap the 2018 Christmas surprise. We began with 10 kids who bowled in a qualifier to get down to 7 for the show today. And in match 1, we bowled a game of Lowball, which was won by Jesse Ganam and eliminated 2 more players. Then in match 2, we played the game called Pinpoint, and both Jesse and Nick Dissinger tied at the top, and Hunter grabbed the 3rd spot as we eliminated the bottom 2. In match 3, we played 9-pin no-tap, and it was Nick and Jesse who took 1st and 2nd to advance to the championship match. But at the last minute, Jesse withdrew, citing a sore finger. I think he knew how much it would mean to Hunter to bowl in that last match. And in the championship match, in a devilish game called Suicide No Tap, where 9 on the first ball is a strike and a natural strike counts as a gutter ball, it came down to the 10th frame, and all Hunter needed to do was get a spare and good count. But just when you'd normally want to throw a strike, that was the last thing in the world Hunter wanted. And he got all 10 to go down, which meant it was Nick who came out the winner. But you know what? On this day, it was pretty clear to everyone that all these kids were winners. If ever you needed evidence of what kind of kids we've got in our program here at Brunswick Zone Roswell, and what kind of friends we have like Jesse who come to visit Prodigy, you need look no further than today's episode of Prodigy Bowlers Tour. I am so proud of all these kids, and it warms my heart more than you'll ever know to have the privilege to get to spend my Saturdays with them and their parents. So today, I'm declaring 2 winners. Nick, who took top honors among the big kids, and Hunter, who once again showed that he's the most courageous of all the little kids we have bowling with us. So they both signed the coveted trophy pin today. Our leagues are off the next 2 weeks, so there's no scheduled taping of Prodigy on December 22nd and December 29th. But we'll be back on January 5th, 2019 to record another episode of Prodigy Bowlers Tour. So from all of us at Prodigy, to you and your family and friends, this is Coach Randy saying Happy Holidays, Season's Greetings, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year.